Let me say this cleanly before the room starts leaning forward, before anyone mistakes curiosity for a claim. I'm not saying that this happened, and I'm not saying that this didn't happen. I'm saying that nobody really knows what happened, and that uncertainty has weight to it. A gravity that you can feel in your chest if you stop moving long enough. Because more people than ever, across age, class, politics, the whole ragged company, keep circling the same sentence like it's a bruise that they can't stop touching. I don't recognize the world anymore. Not just the arguments, not just the machines humming in our pockets, not just the way language itself feels thinner on the tongue, but the world as a place, as a texture, as a thing you wake up inside and try to navigate without bleeding out. And I keep wondering, at the pace of solitude, whether that feeling is not random at all, whether it is not pathology or nostalgia or weakness, but a signal pointing towards something we don't yet have the words to hold without breaking it. So imagine this, not as a spectacle, not as prophecy, a small, almost forgettable moment. A person sits somewhere quiet before a day fully asserts itself. The air cool and faintly bitter, watching the sun lift its shoulder over the horizon. No phone, no voices, just light moving across the world the way it always has. And for a second, barely long enough to doubt, they see something like a school of fish drifting through the air before them for the first light, not vivid, not cinematic, almost gossamer, translucent as breath on cold glass, gone before the mind can name it. But they don't panic. They don't call it hallucination. They think only, that did not belong there. The way you might notice a wrong note in a hymn. Then life keeps moving on, the coffee cooling, birds doing what they normally do. It's the morning. Now, this is where I want to slow the cadence, because when we talk about reality, most people plant their feet and say, I see what is in front of me. I hear what is happening. And yes, you do. But how much of what you believe about the world actually arrives through your own eyes, unmediated, untouched by hands that you never see? Most of what we call knowing now comes from screens, through fragments, through commentary layers on commentary layers, until the original event is little more than a rumor with better lighting. Even what we hear with our ears, news, podcasts, voices, claiming authority, has been filtered, edited, framed, and delivered through systems whose job is not truth, but selection. So reality, as we live inside it, is already mediated, not fake, just filtered. And that matters, because reality is not only what exists, it's what we are allowed, encouraged, and trained to perceive as existing. Take something ordinary, a cup of coffee on a table between us, ceramic cool to the touch. I see the handle from my side, you don't. You see the label on the far curve. Good morning, it reads. I can't see that. We're both talking about the truth. We're both talking about the coffee cup, but neither of us has the full picture. And yet it's still the same cup, solid, unarguable, stubborn in its sameness. To both of us? Now scale that up, way up, the size of the world. One of the hardest addictions to break is not caffeine or sugar or even hope. It is being right. It is saying this is how it is and mistaking for completeness of vision. What if on a mass scale, we're all standing around the same object, reality itself, seeing different faces of it through different filters at different resolutions and mistaking partial sight for certainty? What if the confusion is not because reality shattered, but because it started rendering differently for each of us, like a map that no longer agrees on what is north? People like to say the last truly recognizable decade was the 1990s. Distinct sounds, distinct edges, and a pacing you could feel in your bones. After that, things blurred. Not worse, not better, just defined, like a photograph left too long in the sun. The easy explanation is that we ran out of creativity, but that never sat right with me. There are more people alive than ever, more tools, more access, and more human hunger to make something that leaves a mark. Creativity didn't vanish. So was it averaged? In the early 2000s, systems began learning how to predict us, not as villains, not as gods, just as pattern reading, watching, and what we clicked, what we lingered on, what we avoided. They did not need meaning. Correlation was enough. And slowly, so slowly, we did not feel the roots slipping. Reality began adapting to those predictions, not to control us, but to stabilize us, to smooth the edges, to reduce surprise. Any system that feeds on input will change. Feed it something new and it evolves. Feed it its own output, recycled performances, recycled aesthetics, recycled myths. It does not explode. It flattens. Novelty thins. Variation narrows. Everything feels familiar. Like a song you swear you've already heard. By the way, side note, they've done a test on this where they take AI to image and then run it from image back into text. And if you do that long enough, the photo eventually becomes very bland, boring, and featureless. So now imagining that the flattening does not stop there. What if it goes to culture? What if it reaches perception level? That person at the sunrise. When do we become that? What if what they saw was not imagination, not a crack in the mind, but something real happening somewhere else, briefly overlapping, not because reality broke, but because the way it is rendered slipped like compression artifacts of a real image, real data, misaligned. A moment where your own awareness notices something the system does not fully smooth out. We talk about collective consciousness like it's poetry. But what if the connection is not mind to mind, but perception to perception? What if large systems leaned and learned into how to align what we notice, how to average normal, how to synchronize attention just enough that most of the time we agree on what belongs, and sometimes something leaks through, a wrongness, a fake moment, a sense of that world you're standing in is not quite the one you remember waking up to. The world just doesn't seem the same. That is why the sentence keeps coming back. I don't recognize the world anymore. Not because it's alien, because it feels generic, optimized, stripped of edges. Maybe what we call AI now is not the beginning of this process, but the point where the system starts running out of us, running out of fresh human input, feeding its own reflections until it settles into baseline reality. And maybe that's why reality feels thinner, not broken, not possessed by some specter of death, not simplified, not some hidden agenda. I'm not saying that anything that I'm saying is true. I'm saying it's possible. I don't know if it's plausible, but it's possible. And maybe the real question is not whether something changed the world, but why so many people at the same time stopped recognizing it. And what might happen if we learn deliberately and togetherly, there's my new word for the day, how to look at it differently again.